4 NAPOLCOM, or 5 BJMP? So the answer here is NAPOLCOM, because NAPOLCOM is an attached agency and not under the supervision of the DILG. According to RA 6975, the DILG Act of 1990, may mga agencies na under, or bureaus na under ang ating DILG, the Department of the Interior and Local Government. So, kasama po dyan yung Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. And ngayon, since under na po ng PNP, si PNPA, so under na rin siya ng DILG. So, si NAPOLCOM kasi, katulad na nasa organizational structure ng DILG, hindi po siya under ng DILG. It's an attached agency, no, for policy and policy coordination, no, para sa PNP. So hindi po siya under ng DILG. That's why that's the answer. Okay? Next, the Philippine National Police Academy, katulad ng sinabi ko, before under po siya ng Philippine Public Safety College, but now under na po siya ng PNP. But both naman ng mga agencies na yan, under pa rin yan ng DILG. So parang apo na siya ng DILG, si PNPA. Next, which of the following unlawful acts is not included in RA 9211 or Tobacco Regulation Act of 2003? So dito sa options natin, kung hindi mo nabasa yung batas, malamang malilito ka talaga, no? Number 1, any retailer of tobacco products to sell or distribute tobacco products to any minor. Not included, hindi kasama sa unlawful acts. Number 2, any person to purchase cigarettes or tobacco products from a minor. 3, a minor to sell or buy cigarettes or any tobacco products. 4, a minor to plant and harvest tobacco. Or 5, a minor to smoke cigarettes or any other tobacco products. So dito, we will check the law itself. Hahanapin natin yung verbatim. So ang wala po sa batas is number 4, a minor to plant and harvest tobacco. Bakit? May 4 lang na unlawful act with regards to minimum age sales. Ibig sabihin, ano yung mga bawal gawin or pagbebenta with regards to minors pagdating sa mga tobacco products or cigarettes. So, ang retailer, bawal po siya mag-sell or mag-distribute ng tobacco sa mga underage. So, kung utusan mo yung bata or minor magbenta, mag-distribute, no, bawal po 'yon. Bawal din po bumili from the minor ng cigarettes or tobacco products. Letter C, a minor selling or buying cigarettes or tobacco products. That's why, 'di ba, bawal po nating utusan yung mga bata, mga anak natin, mga minors na bumili ng cigarettes in our behalf sa mga tindahan. Dapat bawal 'yon kasi that's unlawful or penalized under RA 9211. And number 4, or letter D, for a minor to smoke cigarettes or any other tobacco products. So wala po namang pinagbabawal dito na tungkol sa pagtatanim, no? Kasi planting and harvesting, that's really part of, may crops kasi talaga na tobacco, 'di ba? That's part of, kumbaga, livelihood. May mga lugar sa Pilipinas na livelihood talaga nila yung pagtatanim, pag-harvest. So pwede naman, okay? But with regards to the sale kasi yung pinag-uusapan, no? Selling, distribution, smoking, and buying. So yan po yung bawal. Okay? So number 4 po ang sagot. There are other things na punishable by RA 9211, like smoking in public places, smoking, yung designated smoking areas, dapat may specific siya ng mga, kumbaga, characteristics, no? Para po okay lang na doon ka magyosi. Sale and distribution to minors, and discuss natin. Very important, the ban on sale near schools. So, 100 meters from schools, playgrounds, and places frequented by minors, bawal po magbenta ng tobacco. Okay. Actually, mga bars, mga bentahan ng alak, dapat bawal po yan within 100 meters from schools, playgrounds, and places frequented by minors. Okay? Ano pa? Sa pagdating sa promotion, sa mga advertisement, so dapat hindi kasali yung mga minor at hindi din dapat appealing to minors yung mga advertisement natin. Always may health warning. So napapansin nyo yung mga boxes, no, packaging ng mga yosi, 'di ba? Merong mga photos doon ng mga effect ng pagyoyosi. Yan. Next, number 33, the Department of Health has identified 4 strategies to fight dengue known as 4S strategy. Which of the following is not part of the 4S strategy? So, ito ay sa lamok, manok naman tuloy, dengue. So, which is not part of the 4S strategy ng Department of Health. 1, search and destroy. 2, self-protection measures. 3, say yes to random fogging. 4, say no to indiscriminate tagging. 5, seek early consultation. So, yung sa tagging ano, sa red tagging siya. So, yan po yung tamang sagot. Wala po siya sa 4S strategy natin. So, meron tayong tinatawag na 4S strategy to fight dengue. We have search and destroy, self-protection measures, seek early consultation, and say no to indiscriminate fogging. So, para po maiwasan po yung dengue, may mga yan po yung 4S para labanan, no? And hopefully wala pong deaths dahil sa dengue. Next, number 34, which of the following wastes generated in the community differs from the rest? 1, soft drinks bottles. 2, plastic cups. 3, mineral water bottles. 4, tin cans. Or 5, styrofoam. Okay? So, among the 5, yung apat dyan, available na talaga siya for recycling, no? Meron tayong ready na processes on how to recycle them. Yung isa, wala pa. Madalas talagang nadediretso siya sa basurahan, no? So, soft drinks bottles, binabalik for recycling, ginagamit ulit. Ganon din naman yung mga plastic cups, mineral water bottles, and tin cans. So, ang hindi natin nagagamit, masyadong maayos ang recycling dito is styrofoam. Also, yun nga, mahirap siya i-recycle at medyo mas malala din yung kanyang effect sa environment. Okay? Next, number 35. The powers of administrative control and operational supervision of NAPOLCOM over the PNP include the following except 2. So, didiscuss natin powers of administrative control and operational supervision. Alin dyan yung hindi kasama kasi except yung tinatanong. 1, exercise appellate jurisdiction over the police administrative cases. 2, develop policies and promulgate police rules and regulations. 3, conduct inspections and audit of all police units. 4, conduct police promotional examination. Or 5, advise Congress on police matters. So, kung nalilito kayo kung paano yan sasagutin, hanapin niyo yung pinakamalayo, 'di ba? Kasi except naman yung hinahanap. Remember, executive department po si NAPOLCOM and even si PNP, si DILG. So why would NAPOLCOM advise Congress on police matters? So hindi po siya yan, no? Ang tamang sagot is number 5. Ang ina-advisean po ng NAPOLCOM is pwede si President with regards to police matters. So ito po kasi yung mga powers of the NAPOLCOM over the PNP. So they develop policies and promulgate police manual prescribing rules and regulations. And also they conduct qualifying entrance and promotional examinations. No? So that's why we have PNPE and PROMEX. Pagdating, sinapolcom po ang nagkakandak niyan or nagfa-facilitate. Examine and audit and thereafter establish standards for such purposes on a continuing basis. The performance, activities, and facilities of all police agencies throughout the country. Then, establish a system of uniform crime reporting. 4, annual self-report survey. So, NAPOLCOM po yan, no? Accurate assessment of the crime situation ng ating bansa. Next, approve or modify plans and programs on education and training. Mga requirements sa mga crime lab, crime prevention and crime reporting. And then, ito po yung part na sa appellate jurisdiction, no? Yung affirm, reverse, or modify through National Appellate Board, yung mga disciplinary actions na binibigay po nila chief, no, ng PNP mismo. So they are the appellate board. Ibig sabihin they can change that, they can affirm. Kung ano po yung sinabi nung nasa baba na board, pwede po nila yang i-affirm, i-reverse, or i-modify. And then appellate jurisdiction din sa regional appellate boards over administrative cases. Prescribe minimum standards of arms, equipment, uniforms, and after consultation with the Philippine Heraldry Commission for insignia, mga ranks, awards, medals of honor. And then issue subpoena and subpoena ducis tecum in matters pertaining to discharge of its own power and duties. Inspect and assess compliance of the PNP on established criteria for manpower allocation, distribution, and deployment. No? So, makikita nyo, lahat po yan, ayan po ang tinatawag nating administrative control and operational supervision. So, yan po yung mga pwedeng gawin ni NAPOLCOM over the PNP. Okay? So, wala po, hindi kasama yung they will advise the Congress. The Congress ay legislative department. Wala silang kinalaman doon. Okay? Si Congress, if they want to, gusto nilang mag-imbestiga, no, they have other ways to do that. Ayun yung uh, inquiry in aid of legislation. So, hindi po nila kailangan ng police not to do it for them. Okay? Tulad nung ginawa nila kay Alice Go. 36. Appointments in the PNP adheres to the mandate that it should be made according to 1. The minimum qualification standard. 2. The best among the best rule. 3. Merit and skills. 4. Merit and fitness. Or 5. All of this. Okay. So, sa PNP po, pagdating sa appointment, no, para ma-hire ka or ma-recruit ka, we have minimum qualification standard. Kumbaga, parang sa ano din yan, pagboto or pagtakbo bilang presidente, minimum qualification lang. Ano lang ba kailangan sa pagtakbo mo as president, 'di ba? Your age, your residency, 'di ba? Wala namang matataas na qualification. Mas mataas pa ang qualification para maging police, no? With regards to eligibility talaga. Pero pagdating sa president, wala naman. Minimum qualification lang. So, nasa RA 6975 and RA 8551 din naman yan, no? General qualifications for appointment. No person shall be appointed as officer or member of the PNP unless he or she possesses the following minimum qualifications. So, letter A natin, yung citizenship, di ba? A citizen of the Philippines. It doesn't matter kung natural born or naturalized ka as long as you are a citizen of the Philippines. Then, person of good moral conduct. So, dyan natin hinahanap yung good moral certificates nyo. Must have passed a psychiatric, psychological, drug, and physical test to be administered by the PNP or by any NAPOLCOM accredited government hospital. So, kailangan accredited ng NAPOLCOM or PNP. No? Hindi pwedeng pumunta ka lang sa hospital na gusto mo and that's not accredited. No? Hindi pwede yung result nun. Must possess a formal baccalaureate degree from a recognized institution of learning. So, yan, dapat recognized by CHED. Then, eligibility set by the commission. So, madalas, ito po si PROMEX, si PNPE, PNP entrance exam. Sa ano to ha, pagpasok, 'di ba? Tapos yung RA 1080 sa bar and board, RA 6506 for the criminologist. Pwede din si civil service, pwede din si 907 para sa mga honorables, mga Latin honors sa college. Then ano pa, must not have been dishonorably discharged from military employment or dismissed for a cause. Must not have been convicted by final judgment of an offense or crime involving moral turpitude. Then yung height natin, 'di ba? 5'2", 5 flat. And then the kilograms. Sa BMI natin, not more or less 5 kilograms from the standard weight corresponding their height, age, and sex. Okay, and then the edad, not less than 21 but not more than 30 years of age. Lahat po yan ay continuing in character except sa edad, syempre. Kumbaga, pag nakapasok na sa service, hindi pwedeng mawala yon. Hindi pwedeng magbago. Kung nakapasok ka dahil kompleto mo yon lahat, dapat continuing character yun, hindi mawawala yung sa psychiatric exam, pasado ka pa rin dapat next time, sa drug test, pasado ka pa din, may good moral ka pa rin, no, mga ganun. Except sa edad, syempre, nagbabago naman yung edad. Okay? Next. Okay na yan, no? Number 37, for the Civil Service Commission to attest the original appointment of patrolman, the use of blank is required. Ano sa tingin nyo ang kailangan for the Civil Service Commission to attest the original appointment of a patrolman. So dito, medyo nahirapan ako kasi KSS forma bilang 33 at Civil Service Form 33 are the same. At sila pong the same document po yan, Tagalog lang talaga yung isa. So, buti na lang, no, nakalagay dito sa appointment form ng PNP refers to the CS form number 33 revised 2018 which shall be in English. So, hindi ko isasagot si KSS forma bilang 33 kasi Tagalog yan. Nakalagay mismo sa appointment form doon sa mismong manual or sa memorandum ng PNP, English po dapat, no? Which is referred to as the appointment given to the appointee as proof of confirmation by his or her rank, formerly known as KSS or Commission ng Serbisyo Sibil Porma bilang 33. Kaya revised. So, that's the answer natin. Ito 2025 ito dapat. PDS, personal data sheet, yung parang resume, no? Next, 38. Which of the following eligibilities is not recognized by the Civil Service for promotion? Civil Service Commission for promotion. Promotion, okay? 1, career service professional eligibility. CCSE professional level, okay? 2, RA 1080. 3, PD 907. 4, NAPOLCOM eligibility. Or 5, TESDA eligibility. Okay? So sa lahat ng 'yan, hindi po natin ginagamit for promotion si TESDA eligibility. Okay? TESDA eligibility. So career service professional eligibility that second level kasi no for technical na mga trabaho. Same thing with RA 1080, so mga board license yan and bar passers. PD 907, ito po yung mga Latin honors natin ng college na automatic once they are recognized na may Latin honors, hindi na nila kailangan mag-take ng civil service exam. Kasi vested na sa kanila, given na sa kanila, career service, professional level na po yun. So, second level na rin. Si TESDA, hindi siya ginagamit for promotion. Skills lang siya, but not for promotion. Okay? 39. The attestation of the promotional appointment for PMS, I think this is PMSG, no, Police Master Sergeant, and permanent status requires the following documents among others, except. So, for promotional appointment for PMSG, no, alin dito yung hindi kailangan na document? Number 1, special orders for promotion of previous rank. 2, attested appointment of previous rank. 3, diploma and transcript of records. 4, training certificate and order of merit. 5, appropriate eligibility. So dito, syempre, upon upon entering the service, syempre kailangan mo magpasa ng diploma and transcript of records. Nandiyan na yan, no? Pagka ikaw po ay magpapapromote na, then you have other documents to pass. Hindi na kailangan yung diploma and transcript of records because they have that in record naman na. No, so special orders for previous rank, attested appointment, training certificate and order of merit, mga schooling, no? And then eligibility. Katulad niyan, kung hindi ka naman si criminologist kasi, no, hindi kailangan mag-exam ng PROMEX. But kung criminologist ka, 'di ba? Pero pag hindi, you need to pass promotional examination. Ayan po yun, appropriate eligibility. Or maybe, no, yung other eligibilities na diniscuss na natin kanina, yung sa 1080, 6506, yan, PD 907, yan. Sinapol eligibility, kasama yan si PROMEX. Okay? Next, 40. Which document is not a requirement for a request to be reassigned from one unit to another? Number 1, certificate of availability for transfer. 2, special order of latest designation of non-pending case of clearance. 4, certificate of accommodation. 5, attested KSS appointment. So, magpapatransfer ka. But within the organization lang, from one unit to another lang. So, that's hindi po requirements attested KSS appointment because it is not required for internal reassignment. Okay, internal lang naman. So, the rest, they are required. So, certificate of availability for transfer, special order, then pending case of clearance, and then certificate of accommodation. 41. This court proceeding must be made in open court by the judge or clerk by furnishing the accused a copy of the complaint or information with a list of witnesses, reading the same in the language or dialect known to him, and asking him whether he pleads guilty or not guilty. So lahat ng nangyayari during this court proceeding nandyan na sa question. Anong tawag natin sa proceeding na yan? It's called arraignment. So arraignment, it's done in an open court, no? Diyan po binabasa po kay accused yung mga accusation against him. Binibigyan siya ng kopya ng information, no? And then he will be asked or she will be asked, do you plead guilty or not guilty? Diba? Nandyan na lahat sa question natin. Sa binigay na question yung ano ba ang nangyayari sa arraignment. So, this is arraignment. So, we'll discuss the rest. Promulgation, pagbabasa ng judgment na. Kanina sa arraignment, it's reading yung ano yung accusation. So, hindi pa nagkakaroon ng trial. Si promulgation, tapos na yung trial. Yun yung last na papatawag siya for the official announcement and reading of the court's judgment. Okay? So, promulgation po tawag natin dyan. Promulgation of judgment. Next, inquest. I'm sure you're familiar with this. An informal summary investigation conducted by a prosecutor to determine whether a person arrested without a warrant should remain in custody and be charged in court. So, alam ko na alam nyo, mag-partner yan sila ni preliminary investigation. Si inquest, informal, summary in nature, and done kapag warrantless yung arrest ng tao. Ginagawa to check kung kailangan ba talagang magstay sa custody ng police ang taong yan na hinuli nyo without warrant. Kasi 'di ba, general rule, kailangan may warrant before you arrest a person. Kaso we have different circumstances na it's okay na walang warrant. They are the exception to the general rule. The in flagrante delicto, the hot pursuit, 'di ba? And even the escapee. Yun nga lang, if yun yung mga cases, yun yung scenario, that's why you arrested the person and that's without warrant. Kaya ang tawag natin sa kanila ay warrantless arrest or citizen's arrest. You need to do inquest, 'di ba? To check the prosecutor will do this to check if that person arrested without warrant should remain in custody and be charged in court. Okay. Next, arraignment. Again, it's a formal stage. Actually, this is the first stage pagdating sa court. Pillar natin sa CJS. No, where accused is brought before the court, informed of the accusations, and asked to enter a plea, may be guilty or not guilty. Then, plea bargaining. That's within the arraignment. Sa plea bargaining, nangyayari po to sa arraignment, di ba, tatanungin when you plead guilty or not, do you plead guilty or not guilty? So, nagkakaroon ng plea bargaining, which is a process where the accused, with consent from the prosecution and the offended party, agrees to plead guilty to a lesser offense in exchange of for a lower penalty. So, madalas siya nangyayari sa drugs, no? Nagkakaroon ng plea bargaining para hindi na masyadong humaba yung trial, magpi-plead guilty na lang yung tao, but instead of maybe pushing, magpi-plea siya ng guilty para sa possession, which is lesser offense yun, no? And lower ang penalty. Para hindi na magkaroon ng backlog, 'di ba? That happens, pero kailangan mag-agree po yung prosecution, may consent yung prosecution at saka si offended party. Okay, that's plea bargaining. That happens during arraignment. And then the preliminary investigation, an inquiry to determine if there is sufficient ground to engender a well-founded belief that a crime has been committed and the respondent is probably guilty, warranting a formal trial. So medyo mas ano siya, hindi siya summary in nature, umaabot nga to ng ilang araw eh. More than 10 days, di ba? 10-10. Depende sa oras or sa panahon na igugugol ng mga taong involved, ni respondent at saka ni complainant. So dito, nagbago na po yung quantum of evidence required for preliminary investigation. In the past, doon po sa ating rules on criminal procedure, no, ang kailangan na ang required na quantum of evidence para matuloy from complaint makapagkaso tayo sa court is probable cause lang. But now, medyo mas mabigat na. Prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction na. Mas mabigat siya kaysa kay probable cause. Okay? So that's preliminary investigation. Basa-basa lang naman si prosecutor diyan. Babasahin niya yung pinasa na ng affidavit of complaint, tapos magpapadala sila ng kopya nun sa respondent. Si respondent din tawag natin diyan, it's not a reply, counter affidavit, 'di ba? 10 days, gano'n. Tapos magre-reply po yung ating complainant if necessary. So mga gano'n si preliminary investigation. Not necessarily pupunta ka sa isang crime scene, mag-iimbestiga ka. The prosecutor will just read and check and evaluate the evidences submitted, 'di ba? Mga documents na submitted. Next, number 42, what remedy is available to a person whose right to life, liberty, and security is violated or threatened with violation by an unlawful act or omission of his employer company. Employer company ha. 1, right against illegal search. 2, writ of amparo. 3, the right to privacy. 4, the right to abode. 5, writ of habeas data. So actually, if you don't know the answer, marami kayong pwedeng maging dahilan bakit makukuha nyo yung tamang sagot. Number 1, right to illegal search. Wala namang sinasabi dito na sinesearch natin yung tao, di ba? Threatened with violation by an unlawful act or omission. Ang ano natin dito, right to life, liberty, and security. Wala namang property. So, kakansilin natin si right against illegal search. And that's not a remedy. It's a right. Next, right to abode. So, a right to abode is right to your residence, 'di ba? You have the right to choose saan kayo titira, 'di ba? So, hindi naman din nag-uusapan diyan. Right to privacy, wala din, 'di ba? Yung sa communication. So, dalawa lang naman yung about sa remedy dito, writ of amparo and writ of habeas data. Si writ of amparo yan for right to life, liberty, and security. Si writ of habeas data kapag about information. Okay? So, writ of amparo covers not just actual violations but also the threats to life, liberty, and security. So, dito, kahit threatening lang, pwede na pong mag-petition for writ of amparo. Yan po is if, asan ako? If, no, na bina-violate or they are threatening to violate your right to life, liberty, and security. Okay? Si writ of habeas data naman, a remedy available to a person whose right to privacy in life, liberty, and security then is violated or threatened by unlawful act by gathering or storing data. 'Di ba? By gathering or storing data. So pagka habeas data, it's about information. Lahat ng personal information mo, no, kinukuha nila, and that threatens your right to privacy in life, liberty, and security. So pwede ka pong magpa-writ of habeas data. Next, 43. This remedy, yung writ of amparo. This remedy applies to any of the following cases except, so, si writ of amparo, nagagamit yan siya sa apat dyan except 1. Number 1, enforced disappearance. 2, threat of detention. 3, threat of kidnapping. 4, extrajudicial killing. Or 5, extralegal killing. So, enforced disappearance, threat of kidnapping, extrajudicial killing, and extralegal killing, cover po yan ni writ of amparo. The thing that's not covered here is the threat of detention. So, it's generally treated as a standard criminal procedural matter, like an illegal arrest, whereas amparo is reserved for cases involving state-sponsored or extralegal, no? Kumbaga, may state-connected po yung pangyayari or yung gagawin. That's why pwede tayong gumamit ng writ of amparo. Okay? Actions where the victim's life is at extreme risk. Next, 44. This crime is committed when a municipal mayor diverted the public fund intended for the construction of a public market to the repair of a barangay road leading to his farm. So, si municipal mayor, yung budget for construction ng public market, anong ginawa niya? Ginamit niya for the repair of barangay road, which is still public use pa rin yun, di ba? Yung barangay road is, syempre, that's a public property. So, what's the crime committed? 1, malversation of public funds. 2, violation of the trust of the people. 3, technical malversation. 4, graft and corruption. Or 5, illegal exaction. So here, ang sagot natin is technical malversation. So, meron tayong tinatawag na malversation. If ikaw isa kang public officer and you are interested with the property and public funds ng government, pag yan ginamit mo for your own personal use, malversation of public funds yon. For your private use. Pero, kapag yung pera na yan entrusted sa'yo as the public officer in charge, okay? Ginamit mo yung pera na pang public use for another public use, but hindi siya yung pinaka nakalagay sa appropriation. Kasi 'di ba, ang public funds, lagi yan may budget. So kung ang perang to para dito yan, ang perang to para dito yan. So kung hindi mo siya ginamit for private interest, for your own interest, okay? Ginamit mo siya for public use pa din. Kaso nga lang, hindi yun yung nakalagay doon sa appropriation. Tulad niyan, si Mayor, instead na pang paggawa ng public market, pinaayos niya yung barangay road. Pwede ba niyang sabihin na public use pa rin naman yun. Hindi ko naman ginamit for my own personal interest eh. Ginamit ko pa rin siya para sa barangay pa rin natin. Pwede niya bang sabihin yon? Hindi. Okay? Isa 'to sa mga crimes 'no, na wala akong pakialam kung noble yung intentions mo, kung wala kang criminal intent. Kasi nakita naman natin wala naman siyang criminal intent, 'di ba? Kasi hindi naman niya ginamit para sa pangsarili. However, 'di ba, hindi niya nagamit yung perang yon sa tamang paggagamitan. That's why it's called technical malversation, 'di ba? Technical malversation. Okay, I'll discuss the technical malversation, or we call that sa batas mismo sa RPC, the Revised Penal Code, illegal use of public funds or property, which is Article 220. So, if you are an offender, accountable public officer, sa'yo po in charge or entrusted yung public funds or property, then you applied public funds or property under your administration to public use pa rin. Hindi mo ginamit pang sarili. Pero that public use is different from the original legal purpose, yan, may kaso ka pa rin. Technical malversation. Wala kaming pake kung you are so very noble. Bawa, pang TV yon sa DepEd school. Sabi mo, may TV pa naman kami, bili na lang kami ng upuan kasi wala na silang upuan. It doesn't matter. Kasi, yung budget yan, na-appropriated yan for that specific purpose. So, kapag hindi mo ginamit sa tamang paraan, kahit public use pa din, no, may kaso ka pa din. Si legal exaction is about taxes, no, yung pangungulekta. Now, there are three, ganun pa rin, you are a public officer, you are entrusted with the collection of taxes, licenses, fees, and other imposts. Pero at least isa dito may ginawa ka, 'di ba? Number one, you demanded, naniningil ka ngayon ng tax. Sinisingil mo directly or indirectly yung tao, larger, ang amount na sinisingil mo is larger than those authorized by law. So that's illegal exaction. That's punishable. Or nagbayad sa'yo, hindi ka nag-issue ng receipt, that's punishable. Or nangolekta ka ng tax but hindi siya doon sa object or quantity na binibigay ng batas. Kung sinabi niyang pera, ganitong amount, humingi ka ng mga gulay, mga isda, humingi ka ng parte ng lupa. That's illegal exaction. Article 213. Anti-graft and corrupt practices. So graft, the act ng ginagawa ng tao of acquiring money. Corruption, that's a state of mind, no? Yung kabulukan, no? Para lang magkaroon ka ng gain. So like what I've said yesterday, the Anti-Graft Court of the Philippines is the Sandigan Bayan. So pag ito po yung kaso, may nilabag ka sa RA 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, at ikaw po ay medyo mataas ng posisyon sa gobyerno, no? Lalo na yung mga salary grade 27 pataas, dito po, i-hear at itatry yung iyong case. Sandigan Bayan. Next, 45. Delphine Le was arrested for being a suspect in a massacre of a family in Laguna. When can he avail the Miranda rights? Number 1, during the police lineup. Number 2, when mugshots are taken by the police. Number 3, when he was required to provide blood and DNA sample. Number 4, when he was asked by the police for his participation in the crime. Or number 5, when he is brought to the police station. Okay? So remember yung Miranda rights natin, more on testimonial. Okay? Bago dapat makakuha ng mga testimony, ma-avail niya na yung Miranda rights. Iba po yung availment sa pagsasabi ng Miranda rights ha. Pag ibibigay mo lang yung Miranda rights niya o kumbaga sinasabi mo yung Miranda warning, okay? When you follow the Miranda doctrine, ibig sabihin sasabihin mo na yung mga rights niya. Iba po yon sa pwede niya nang ma-avail. Okay? So, pagdating sa kailan mo sasabihin si Miranda rights, according to law, no, according to RA 7438, mandated na nasabihin mo ang Miranda rights niya pagka-start ng custodial investigation, which is, it includes yung pag invite mo sa kanya. Okay, na maimbestigahan. Okay? That's the kung kailan mo sasabihin. Pero pag kailangan niya nang i-avail, kailan niya ma-avail yan? When he is asked for the police, by the police, of his participation in the crime. Kasi magsasalita na yan siya eh. Okay? Kasi tatandaan, testimonial po. Magsa-start po yung availment kapag magkakaroon na ng mga testimony na kukunin. Bago ka kumuha ng testimony, kailangan ma-avail niya na yung Miranda rights. Okay? Yung mga, nasabi mo na yan kanina eh, yung mga Miranda rights na nasabi mo na, hindi niya palang ina-avail. By the time na magsabi ka na, magtatanong ka na about his participation in the crime, kailangan, alam niya, no? Siya mismo, or yung lawyer niya, alam nilang they need to avail the Miranda rights niya kasi magsasalita na siya. Okay? Or may sasabihin na siya. Kailangan, bago siya magsalita, nandiyan na yung lawyer niya, bago siya magsalita, dapat alam niya mismo na he can remain silent, no? Mga ganun. Okay. Yung 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 5 kasi, they're not about testimonial eh, during police lineup. 'Di ba? Iimbitahin lang naman yung mga taong 'yan tapos magpapa-police lineup, 'di ba? Wala pa namang tanungan diyan. Mugshots, wala ding testimonial diyan. Provide blood and DNA samples, wala ding testimonial diyan. Before he is brought to the police station, lalo wala pa. Okay? The moment na magtatanungan na, no, may questioning na mangyayari ito, Miranda rights, the right to remain silent, the right to competent and independent counsel are triggered the moment a person is under custodial investigation. This is defined as any questioning initiated by law enforcement officer after a person has been taken into custody or otherwise deprived of his freedom of action in a significant way. So, magsa-start siya kapag nasa incriminatory stage na, no? The moment the police ask questions intended to elicit an admission or confession. Okay. So they must inform him of his Miranda rights. If they don't, any statement makes is inadmissible in court. Okay. Number 46, what is not included in the mission of the PNP? 1, enforce the law. 2, prevent and control crimes. 3, maintain peace and order. 4, ensure public safety and internal security. Or 5, provide security to local government officials. Okay? So halatang halata yung maging sagot. Enforce the law, that's basic. PNP yan. Kasi they are law enforcement agency. PNP is a law enforcement agency. Prevent and control crimes, basic. Alam natin, that's your role. That's your mission. Maintain peace and order, ensure public safety and internal security. So, hindi naman nila trabaho yung to provide security to local government officials unless talagang, kumbaga, naging part na yun ng detail nila, no, naging part talaga ng kanilang assignment. But it is not the trabaho ng PNP. Okay, next, 47. So, ayan po, ang powers and function of the PNP. So, enforce all laws, protection of lives, liberty, and property, maintain peace and order, to ensure public safety, investigate and prevent crimes, meron silang power to arrest, search and seizure, basta in accordance with the Constitution and laws, na wala silang lalabaging rights. Detain for a period not beyond what is prescribed. Ano yung prescribed ng batas for detention? The 12, 18, 36 or the reglementary period ng RA 7438. Okay? Issue licenses and possession of for the possession of firearms and explosives. Supervise and control training and operations of security agencies and issues licenses as well. And other functions as provided by law. Okay. Ano trabaho ng PNP? Wala kang makikita diyan na mag-CCQ sila sa mga local government officials. Okay? 47. Generally, all patrolman and police corporal are that back backbones of the PNP organization, and as such, they are the PNP frontliners in. So, ang clue nyo dito, yung backbone. Ano ba yung backbone of the PNP organization? Number one, information technology development. Number two, athletic competitions outside. Number three, all parades and ceremonies. Four, the streets of for police visibility. Or five, fatigue duties. So when we say backbone of the PNP, alam natin that's patrol. So patrol is officially recognized as the backbone of policing because it is the most basic function through which PNP serves and protects in the community. Now, when you say backbone, patrolling, saan ba ginagawa? Bakit din siya ginagawa? So, it's done in the streets for police visibility. So, sino ba madalas ang nagpapatrol, guys? Yan. Madalas, generally, patrolman and police corporal. They are the backbones of the PNP organization kasi sila po yung gumagawa ng patrolling. Okay? Next. 48. Which of office assists the chief PNP in ensuring the operational readiness of the command and investigates infractions of regulations committed by PNP members. So sino tumutulong kay Chief PNP, no, para mabantayan po ang ating mga PNP members? That's the IAS, 'di ba? The watchdog, police ng mga police. So the IAS was created by 8551 RA 8551. They proactively conduct inspections and audits on PNP personnel and units, investigate complaints and gather information in support of an open investigation, conduct summary hearings on PNP members facing administrative charges. Tapos, they submit periodic report on the assessment, no, mga behavior ng PNP personnel and units to the Chief PNP and the NAPOLCOM. And then, kapag kailangan, they will file appropriate criminal cases against that PNP na naimbestigahan nila o na-inspect nila. And they provide assistance sa Office of Ombudsman kapag may case po involving PNP personnel, lalo na dyan sa mga graft and corrupt practices, di ba? So yan, tumutulong po si Internal Affairs Service. So binabantayan kayo ng IAS. Next, 49. To enhance police visibility in the streets and in the community, the PNP National Headquarters directed all subordinate line units to implement the personnel deployment policy of. So, ano yung deployment policy natin ngayon sa PNP to enhance police visibility in the streets and in the community? So, we call that the 85-15 ratio. So, the 85-15 deployment scheme ensures our personnel are dedicated active field duties. Tapos meron ding maghahawak na administrative. No, so ang manpower placement natin, 85% ng mga PNP nasa kalsada, nagpapatrol, no? Mga deployed line officers sila, 'di ba? Deployed sa ating PIT, Patrol Investigation and Traffic Management. The remaining 15 administrative duty na 'yan, yan sa mga headquarters natin, mga kapapilan, no, mga policy, doon po sila. Pero yung line, yung PIT natin, Patrol Investigation Traffic, dapat marami talagang assign dyan. That's to increase police visibility. Okay? Tatawa nga ako yung lately, sabi nila, maglalagay daw ng police bawat bahay. Napaka-imposible. 'Di ba? Ewan ko, ang daming fake news sa Facebook. 'Di ba, alam naman natin 1:1,000 minimum, 1:100, 1:500 yung ideal. 'Di ba? So, alam natin 'yan. So, imposible yung isang pulis sa isang bahay. Nakakatawa lang, yung mga fake news. Okay, next. Meron din tayong policy na 5-minute response time, no, na dapat pagkatawag within 5 minutes makapunta na po yung police sa doon sa lugar, okay, sa scene. So it's yan, anchored yan siya doon sa integrated patrol system natin na kahit sa pagtawag makakarating talaga agad ang police kasi may malapit na police doon. 'Di ba? Yung police community precincts natin, and they use mobile and motorcycle units. Next, 50. The PNP Integrated Transformation Program aims to transform the whole organization into a more blank government agency. 1, credible. 2, capable. 3, effective. 4, 1 and 2, or 5, 1, 2, 3. So, yung PNP Integrated Transformation Program, tatlo po yan. transforming the PNP into a more capable, effective, and credible police force. So that's why ang answer natin is number 5. Okay? So it started in 2005 as a 10-year roadmap to implement lasting reforms within the organization. Ayun nga, capable, highly capable, effective, and credible police service. Okay, next, 51. An applicant of patrolman position must be one at least 21 years of age, two and less than 31 years old on appointment day, two not more than 30 years of age, otherwise age waiver is necessary, three not less than 21 nor more than 30 years of age, four not less than 21 nor more than 31 years of age on appointment day, or five, none of the above. So yung general natin na requirement is not less than 21 nor more than 30 years of age. So 21 to 30. Hindi bababa sa 21, hindi din mas mataas sa 30. So that's number 3. Nandyan po yan, nagsimula po yan sa RA 6975 at hanggang sa 8551, meron din po tayo niyan. Okay? Okay. So again, continue except sa edad, continuing characters lahat yung mga nasabi nating requirements upon application sa PNP. Next, 52. The basis for the computation of the monthly pension or of a PNP personnel who compulsorily retired is blank. So ano ba magiging basis ng monthly pension mo kapag nag-retire ka na at the age of 56, 'di ba? Kasi compulsory. 56 dapat. Okay? So the basis for computation will be dalawa lang naman. Okay? That's the basic pay and longevity pay. Aside from the years nag na-Google mo sa service, no? But wala naman kasi dito yung years. So basic pay plus the longevity pay, pag ah, pag 20 years lang sakto, 50% lang, 'di ba? So ganito yung ang kanyang provision sa RA 8551. Monthly retirement pay shall be 50% of the base pay and longevity pay of the retired grade in case of 20 years of active service. Pag 20 years lang. 56 kasi compulsory. So may additional yan. Increasing by 2.5% for every year of active service rendered beyond 20 years to a maximum of 90% for 36 years of active service and over. So, dalawa lang siya. Base pay and ito lang. Base pay and longevity pay plus the years of active service. Ay, times. Depende sa percent ng years of active service. So, halimbawa, ang base pay mo is 20 years ka lang nag-serve, so 50% lang. Kung ikaw po ay nagdagdag above 20 years, may 2.5 pa na additional, di ba? So, how much is the retirement benefit monthly pension of a retired PNP personnel with a combined base pay of and longevity pay of 100,000 and 22 years yung service niya. So, dahil 100,000 ang kanyang sahod, pagka-retire niya, kasama po yan ha, base pay and longevity pay, tapos 22 years in service. So 20 years, 50%. Plus yung dalawang 2.5 na 5%. So that's 55%. Ano ba ang 55% ng 100,000? It's 55,000. So ang monthly pension niya is 55,000. Kasi ang base pay niya at saka longevity pay 100,000, tapos kunin mo yung percentage ng ilang years ka sa service. Okay? Next, ano ba yung longevity pay? Yan yung PAGI, no? Long pay. So every 5 years na you have satisfactory, faithful, and efficient service, nag-render ka ng satisfactory, faithful, and efficient service, may madadagdag na 10% sa sahod mo. Base pay ng 10% ng base pay mo. Okay? So halimbawa, 20,000 yung base pay mo. 20,000. After 5 years, tumaas, naging 30,000. Yung 30,000 na yan, kukunin mo yung 10%, 3,000, idadagdag yan sa magiging, yan yung longevity mo. 3,000 yung longevity, 30,000 yung iyong base pay. So, magiging 33,000 na yung sasahurin mo. Mababa siya no, sa calculation ko. But, ganon, 10%. Okay? So, hanggang 50% lang. So, syempre, limang 5 years lang yung talagang bayad. Kapag sumobra ka pa sa 25 years, wala na pong long pay after that. Ha? Next. So, 10% increment po siya, ha? 10% of your monthly base pay dun sa current mo na sahod. Next. O, sige. So, may mga pwedeng matanong, no? Mag-ilan yung, iba yung magkano na yung sasahurin niya, iba din yung tanong na magkano yung longevity pay niya, ha? So, halimbawa, 30,000 po yung sahod niya ngayon. Magkano yung longevity pay niya? 5 years na siya sa work. Satisfactory, churba-churba. Ang longevity pay niya is 3,000. Pero pag ang tanong, magkano na yung magiging sahod niya or matatanggap niya with the longevity pay, magiging 33. Kasi 30 plus the 3,000 na base pay tsaka longevity pay. Depende sa tanong. Ano? So, check nyo yung tanong. 53. Project Kalinga is a system of or program aimed at providing an efficient and effective service delivery mechanism in terms of processing and payment of all retirement benefits due to PNP uniform personnel. The term retirement includes any of the following except. Okay. Pag sinabi natin retirement, yung apat dyan, or yung iba dyan, considered retirement yon. Yung isa hindi. Number 1, disability or incapacitation. 2, compulsory retirement. 3, separation by attrition. 4, optional retirement. Or 5, none of this. Okay? So, yung tatlo, yes, considered retirement po yan. Disability or incapacitation. Compulsory retirement, no? Sa pilitan, na kumbaga 56 years old kayo na kailangan mo talaga mag-retire. Or optional, yun naka 20 years ka na. Yung separation by attrition, hindi po yan retirement. No, tinanggal ka po, attrited. Tinanggal ka sa trabaho, hindi ka po retired. Resigned, pwede pa. Okay? Separation by attrition. Separated ka from the service. So, hindi po siya considered retirement. And actually, di ba, kung hindi ka umabot yan ng 20 years, wala nga yung pension eh. Okay, next. Number 54, what is the highest PNP medal that can be conferred to us deserving PNP members? So, alam natin to, no? The Medal of Valor, ang medalya ng kagitingan. Okay, so yan po yung mga medalya na meron na pwedeng mabigay sa isang PNP personnel. Medalya ng kagitingan, the highest award, no? For supreme self-sacrifice and courage in the face of an armed enemy. Medalya ng kabayanihan, act of conspicuous courage and gallantry. Medalya ng katapatan sa paglilingkod for exceptionally meritorious service in position of major responsibility. Medalya ng katapangan, bravery medal for gallantry in action not qualifying for higher medals. And medalya ng katangi-tanging gawa or outstanding achievement medal for distinguished service or achievement in technical, administrative, or police research. Okay, so yan mga medalyang magandang medalya. According to NAPOLCOM, MC number 93018. Okay, 55. Which of the PNP medal has an additional incentive of 4 days service leave credits? Okay? So, I'm sure pag ito ang dinidiscuss, gustong-gusto nyo ano kasi may mga medalya eh, mga award tapos may incentives pa. So, 4 days is si kasanayan. So, medalya ng papuri, 3 days po ang leave credits. Medalya ng kasanayan or PNP Efficiency Medal, 4 days. 5 days si kagalingan and 3 days po si ugnayang pampulisya. Si abuting asal, most often wala. Walang leave credits. Okay, 56. Under the RA 8551, which of the following is not included in the authority of the city, municipal mayors over local police within their respective jurisdiction? So, hindi po kasama sa trabaho or kapangyarihan ng city or municipal mayors over the local police or the PNP dyan sa munisipyo or city nila. Alin yung hindi nila kasama sa authority nila? 1, recommend applicants for appointment as new members of the PNP to be assigned to their cities or municipalities later. 2, recommend the transfer or reassignment of PNP members outside their respective city or town residences. 3, direct the employment and deployment of units or elements through a chief of police. 4, exercise operational supervision and control. Or 5, none of the above. Okay, so under 8551, lahat po yan ay kasama po sa magiging authority ng city mayors or municipal mayors over the local police within their jurisdiction. Okay? So, kasi nakalagay, operational supervision and control shall be in the power to direct, superintend, and oversee the day-to-day functions of police investigation of crime, crime prevention activities, and traffic control. And they have the power to direct employment and deployment. So, nandyan po yung employment and deployment letter number 3. Exercise of operational supervision and control, number 4. Ito po yan, nung una. Ito po yung number 3 na option. Employment, utilization of units or elements, paggamit, pag-deployment, yung organized physical movement. Employment, yung utilize niya, ginagamit na po yung units or elements ng PNP. Deployment, yung pag-arrange kung saan sila mapupunta. Deployment. Okay? Other authorities nila, yan, choose the chief of police from a list of 5 eligibles para recommended by provincial police director. 5 eligibles pagdating para maging chief of police. Okay, so si provincial police director magbibigay po siya ng recommendation, no? Si si city mayor or municipal mayor pipili po sila doon sa 5 na eligibles para maging chief of police. And then they have the authority to recommend to provincial directors the transfer, reassignment, or detail of PNP members outside of their respective city or town or residences. So lahat po yun, lahat ng options natin dito, ay pasok doon sa authority of the mayors. So none of the above yung sasagot natin. Next, 57. In the recruitment process of PNP recruits, the role of the mayor is to blank. Ano ang role ng mayor with regards to recruitment? 1. Endorse any constituent to an ad hoc body for appointment as patrolman into police service. 2. Create an ad hoc body to be chaired by the vice mayor to screen applicants. 3. Task the council to conduct the screening and evaluator of candidates. 4. Direct his chief of police to conduct initial screening process. Or 5. Issue appointments to all qualified applicants. So, ang role ng mayor with regards to recruitment process can be to endorse any ka-munisipyo or ka-city nila, no, to the ad hoc body for appointment as patrolman. Wala po siyang kakayanan na mag-create ng ad hoc body to be chaired by vice mayor. Wala din siyang kakayanan to task the council to conduct screening and evaluation of candidates because ang recruitment is national. PNP national po yung gumagawa or nagpa-facilitate. He doesn't have the power to direct the chief of police na mag-conduct ng initial screening. Kasi nga, PNP national po yung talagang magtatrabaho niyan, makikinig po si chief of police doon sa national. Hindi kay mayor. And issue appointment, no? Ang nag-a-appoint po sa ating mga qualified applicants can be the regional director kapag sa regions and the si chief of PNP kapag sa national. Diba? So, yan, si number 1 yung pinaka pwede nating isagot. 58. NAPOLCOM exercises administrative control and operational supervision over the PNP promotion program through the blank. So, paano po, no, nakikisali si NAPOLCOM pagdating sa promotion program ng PNP? Number 1, presence of NAPOLCOM representative in the promotion board. Number 2, administration of the NAPOLCOM promotional examination. Number 3, certification of qualified applicants for promotion. Number 4, grant of appropriate waivers. Or number 5, 1 and 2. So, the way they exercise is their administrative control and operational supervision pagdating sa promotion program is number 1 and 2. Present sila, mayroon pong representative ang NAPOLCOM pagdating sa promotion board. Yung promotion board, yung mga taong screening, no, for promotion, and also they're the one conducting the promotional examination. Ngayon nga yung iti-take nyo, diba? So yan po yung pinaka ginagawa ng NAPOLCOM pagdating sa promotion program. So yan. Next. 59. Who may file the complaint for violence against women and their children under RA 9262 or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004? Sino ang pwedeng mag-file ng complaint kapag meron pong lumalabag doon sa ating RA 9262 na batas? Number 1, any citizen having personal knowledge of the circumstances, it being a public crime. 2, the chief of police whenever the crime is reported to the police authority. 3, the parents or guardian in case of incapacitated victim or child. 4, the victim only being a private crime, or 5, barangay official. Okay, so remember, si RA 9262, the VAUC is actually a public crime. Kung talagang nakalagay po yan, explicitly provided by the law itself, di ba? RA 9262, Section 25, public crime. Violence against women and their children shall be considered a public offense which may be prosecuted upon the filing of a complaint by sino? Any citizen having personal knowledge of the circumstances involving the commission of the crime. So kahit sino yan, kahit hindi kadugo, kahit hindi mismong si victim, no, pwede pong mag-file ng complaint. Kasi this crime is a public crime. Okay? May mga crimes kasi na hindi pwedeng ibang tao yung mag-file. Okay? Hindi pwedeng hindi si mismong victim, no? Hindi pwedeng hindi nila relative. But this one, specifically provided na any person who has personal knowledge. Hindi yung chismis lang ha, dapat may personal knowledge talaga siya that the crime was committed. Okay, so that's number 1. Next, number 60, it is an act or series of acts involving any unwelcome sexual advance committed by a supervisor in a work-related environment of the person of the complainant. So ano yung tawag natin sa mga acts or mga series of acts involving unwelcome sexual advance, mga kumbaga indecent proposals, no? May paghagod, may paghawak, may pag-o-offer. Ang gumagawa ay supervisor doon sa isang sa work. Tapos yung binibigyan niya ng ginagawa niya ng mga ganong acts is lower than him kasi supervisor nga. 1, violence against women. 2, acts of lasciviousness. 3, sexual harassment. 4, malicious mischief. Or 5, attempted rape. So, na-discuss ko to kahapon, no? Kapag may mga sexual advances, indecent proposal, lalong-lalo na kung ang gagawa is may authority, may moral ascendancy doon sa victim, that's sexual harassment. Okay? So sexual harassment, which is provided for by the Republic Act 7877 or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. Saan nangyayari ang sexual harassment? Work, education, and training environment. So, sino ang gumagawa? Again, pagdating sa work, education, and training environment, at ang gumawa nun ay employer or employee din siya, pero ang biktima niya, meron siyang authority, no? Manager, supervisor, agent of the employer, teacher, instructors, professor, coach, trainer, or any other person who having authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over the other. So, kumbaga, hindi makakontra yung victim because syempre may authority to eh. Okay? Hindi makakontra yung victim because may moral ascendancy, nirerespeto ko siya. Okay? May influence to sa buhay ko, sa trabaho ko. So, hindi siya makagalaw, hindi siya makahindi. But, tatandaan, it doesn't matter kung yung request, yung demand, yung sexual favor na hinihingi, mangyari man siya or hindi, inaccept man ng victim or hindi, that's punishable already. Okay? So again, yung mga taong yon na may authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another in a work, training, or education environment, that person demands, requests, or otherwise requires for any sexual favor from the other. Madalas yan may kapalit, 'di ba? Hipo-hipo tapos mas marami ka ng mas marami na ikaw natatanggap na mga kumbaga mga good sides, 'di ba? Mga pagkain, mga gano'n. Kung ano man 'yang mga puwede nilang ibigay na favor sa'yo, okay? But then again, nag-demand siya, nag-require siya ng sexual favor, regardless kung tinanggap mo 'yon or hindi, nangyari man o hindi, puwede ka na magkaso. Kasi hindi kailangan mangyari mismo. Halimbawa sinabihan ka, "Oh, mag-ano tayo, mag-tsorba tayo," 'no? Iha-hire kita, 'di ba? Or, meet tayo sa hotel, mag-sex tayo, ipo-promote kita. Do'n pa lang sa part na in-offeran ka na, puwede ka na magkaso. Hindi mo kailangan umoo or hindi mo kailangan umabot pa kayo do'n sa hotel para lang ma-video mo siya, 'no? 'Yun nga lang mahirap maghanap ng ebidensya, lalo na kung usapan lang. Unless recorded yan, may CCTV. Di ba? So, yun, hindi kailangan tanggapin mo, hindi kailangan mangyari muna yung sexual favor bago ka magreklamo. Okay? Next. So, pagtatandaan, pag yung tatlong yan yung lugar, at yun yung ginawa nung taong yun sa taong to, sexual harassment po yan, ha? RA 7877. Number 61, under the RA 9262, vowsy ulit tayo, which of the following is not recorded as the psychological violence? Psychological, mental suffering yan, di ba? Hindi yan physical, mental suffering. So, one, intentionally drinking and smoking in front of his children. Two, deprivation of right to visitation of common children. Three, repeated verbal abuse and marital infidelity. Fidelity yan. Number four, causing the wife to witness pornography. Or five, intimidation, harassment, and stalking. So, alin sa inyo dito yung, alin sa tingin nyo dito yung hindi siya mentally nakakapagbigay ng suffering sa victim? Okay? So, ang sagot natin, intentional drinking and smoking in front of his children. Bakit? Nakalagay kasi mismo yan sa batas. Psychological violence, according to RA 9262, dun sa definition of terms, refers to acts or omissions causing or likely to cause mental or emotional suffering doon kay victim. Okay? Anong mga example? Such as, but not limited to, intimidation, pananakot, harassment, stalking, which is our fifth na option. Damage to property. So, halimbawa, naninira siya ng mga gamit. No? That's psychological violence. Public ridicule, pinapahiya ka sa public. Humiliate ka. Repeated verbal abuse. No? Siyempre, hindi ka nasasaktan physically, but then, no, yung mental suffering mo eh kasi lagi kang nasasabihan ng ganon. Or mental infidelity. Yung hindi siya lang bababae, hindi siya ng bababae, hindi siya nakikipag-sex sa iba, but then alam mo na may ginagawa siya, bale chat-chat lang, gano'n. May kausap na ibang babae, may walang sexual na nangyayari pa. Nagsasuffer ka na yan mentally, hindi ka na makapag-focus, so that's already psychological violence. Pwede na yan maging reason for filing a case. It includes causing or allowing the victim to witness physical, sexual, or psychological abuse. So napapanood niya, no, may inaabuso ng member of the family, kung yung family members mo, okay? Or you are asked to witness pornography. Or you are asked to witness abusive injury to pets or unlawful and unwanted deprivation of the right to custody and or visitation of common children. Hindi ka na pinapayagan makita yung mga anak mo. So, di ba? You're not physically hurt, pero nagsasuffer ka mentally, emotionally. So, that's why it's called psychological violence. Okay? So, ang sagot natin dito, dahil lahat po, 2, 3, 4, 5, nandun po sa mismong batas, verbatim po siya. So, isasagot natin si number 1. Number 62. So, anti-trafficking naman tayo. Under the RA 9208, also known as the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of 2003, the following acts are considered trafficking in persons. So, tatandaan nyo lang, pag sinabi nating trafficking, it includes recruitment, pagbabiyahe, pagtanggap, pagbebenta ng tao. Okay? Madalas po yan by means of fraud, no? Pananakot, ganon. Okay? Traffic kasi 'di ba galaw. So pag sinabi nating trafficking of person, may paggalaw ng tao from here to there. Pagbebenta, pagbili, pag-harbor, 'di ba, mga ganon. Transportation, ayan, recruitment. Okay? So number 1, anong exception daw dito? Anong acts yung hindi kasama sa sinasabing trafficking? Okay, number 1, recruitment of persons with or without their consent or knowledge within national borders by means of deception or force for forced labor or services. So, may recruitment na word, so pwede siyang pumasok sa trafficking. Dumagdag pa yung ways kung paano po sila nadala doon na recruit. Sabi with or without their consent, but by means of panloloko, deception, or force. Number 2, transportation of a child for the purpose of exploitation. Transportation, may movement ulit. So, pwede po yan sa trafficking. Transportation of a child for the purpose of gamitin sila para pagkakitaan sila. 3, recruitment of a child for the purpose of exploitation. Recruitment ulit. So, that's part of trafficking. Abandoning a child in ship bound for a country. May movement ba? may movement yung ship bound for a country, but then wala po yung sinasabi nating recruitment, selling, no? Receipt, yung pagtanggap. Pwede po yan maging trafficking. Kasi, according to 9208, trafficking in person refers to the recruitment, transportation, transfer or harboring or receipt of a person with or without their consent or knowledge. Pwede kasing trafficking yung pumayag yung victim, no? Na sige, ipapa-exploit na sila, bebenta sila sa ibang bansa. May mga taong pumapayag because of, yun nga, masyado nilang tinake advantage yung vulnerability ng tao. Alam nilang walang pera yung tao. So minsan, alam ng tao na mamamatay sila doon, magiging slave sila, pero inoferan sila, o sige, mag-iiwan tayo dito ng 50,000 sa family mo. Pwede kang Pwede kang humindi, mamamatay ka rin naman pero wala kayong pera or dadalhin ka namin do'n, may pera yung family mo, mga gano'n. So, may mga taong pumapayag do'n, 'di ba? So, may mga taong with consent, marami 'yan guys, yung mga kahit nga sa aray ko, yung sa trafficking in person ng mga babae, yung ginagawa silang pokpok, 'pag na-rescue sila, sinasabi nila ginagawa okey lang sa'kin, trabaho ko talaga 'to, talagang tinanggap ko yung ganitong trabaho. So, ayaw nilang mag-file ng complaint. Yan yung sinasabi kong with consent, ano. Mahirap po yun i-file ang case kasi yung mismong mga victim, sila mismo yung ayaw mag-file kasi iniisip nila, "Hindi, talagang tinanggap ko naman na ito talaga trabaho ko kasi kailangan ko talaga ng pera." 'Di ba, gano'n siya. Okay. So, with or without consent. So, yung may consent, maaaring talagang yun talaga, vulnerability, ginamit yung kanilang kahirapan or naloko sila, 'no? May mga without consent talaga, yung coercion, abduction, yung talagang sapilitan yung pagkuha sa kanila, 'no? Anong means? Through threat, use of force, other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or position, take advantage of the vulnerability, ayan sinasabi ko, of the person, or giving or receiving payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person. So, ba yung nanay, binayaran para makuha nila yung anak. Yan. Ano po ang pinaka-purpose? Exploitation. Gusto nilang pakinabangan yung tao. Siyempre pera po, 'no? Exploitation, which includes at the minimum exploitation or prostitution of others and other forms of sexual exploitation. Yan, slavery, servitude, pagtanggal ng mga organs, 'di ba? So yan po, lahat po yan ay part ng meaning ng trafficking. Wala kayong nakikitang abandonment. So that's why ang sagot natin dito is number 4. Okay? Number 4. Next, number 63. Under RA 9208, trafficking pa rin tayo, the PNP is tasked to do the following except sa Anti-Trafficking of Person Act. Ano yung hindi kasama sa trabaho ng PNP? Kasi exception yung hinahanap. Number 1, formulate plans and programs for the prevention or reduction of trafficking cases. Number 2, strictly administer and enforce immigration and alien registration laws. Trabaho ba yan ng PNP? Number 3, coordinate with local and barangay officials with respect to the arrest of traffickers. 4, establish a system for receiving complaints and calls to assist trafficked persons. 5, undertake surveillance, investigation, and arrest of persons engaged in trafficking. So this one, hindi po trabaho ng PNP yung Immigration and Alien Legislation Laws. Kasi meron tayong BOI, di ba? Bureau of Immigration. Hindi po trabaho. Kumbaga, hindi yan yung pinakatas na binibigay ng RA 9208 sa PNP. So ano lang ang binibigay? Sinasabi po ng RA 9208, ang primary na mga trabaho ng PNP is undertake surveillance, investigation, and arrest of individuals or persons suspected of to be engaged in trafficking, closely coordinate with various law enforcement agencies, kasama na po yung mga local government, no, and the effort for effective investigation and apprehension of suspected traffickers. Tapos, yung system to receive complaints and calls to assist traffic persons and conduct rescue operations. Yun nga lang, madalas sa madalas, hindi yung mga unless talagang naloko sila, madalas sa madalas, hindi nagrereklamo yung mga nata-traffic. Kasi nga, minsan, sila mismo ang nag-agree na, okay na to, na maging pokpok, ganun, di ba? Para lang kumita. So, pag nagka-rescuehan, ayaw nila, gusto nilang umalis. minors pwedeng hawakan pa ng DSWD, pero yung mga adult na palalabasin, then they will go back to their ano, unless mahuli niyo yung pinaka nagpasimuno, 'di ba? Next, 64. Who is the present chairman of the Commission on Election? So we've discussed this yesterday. Si George Garcia. So the present chairman of the Commission on Election is George Erwin Mojica Garcia. Sorry, na from the Facebook ito, no? Term of office po nila, 7 years, no reappointment. Sa COMELEC, composition po ng COMELEC, tatandaan, 'di ba? You count the letters of the word COMELEC, 7 po 'yan. 7 years yung term of office, 7 din po yung composition. There shall be a commission on election composed of chairman, isa, tas 6 na commissioners. Okay? Next. So ito po yung, si COMELEC is one of our constitutional commissions, yung mga independent bodies na nabuo ng ating 1987 Constitution. Sino-sino kasama niya? The Commission on Civil Service Commission, Commission on Election, and Commission on Audit. Yan, tatlo yan sila. Okay, they do the check and balance ng ating legislative, executive, and judiciary department. Sila yung taga-check and balance. So, si COMELEC, George Erwin Garcia, yung ating chairperson dyan. Sa Civil Service, Marilyn B. Yap. And then sa COA, Gamaliel Cordoba. Next, 65. The term of office of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will end on high noon of 12 noon ng anong araw. So that would be, alam natin, June 30. Oh, wala namang ibang June 30 dyan, 2028. Kasi 6 years lang naman ang kanilang term of office ng president. The same sa vice president, 6 years lang naman. So according to the 1987 Constitution, that's Article 7, Section 4, the president and the vice president will be elected by direct vote of the people for a term of 6 years. So 2022 po yun nangyari, which shall begin at noon on the 30th day of June. So June 30, 2022 magsa-start. It will end after 6 years, which is June 30, 2028. It will end at noon of the same date, 6 years thereafter. Natandaan, President, no re-election. Vice President, pwede pa isa pang beses. Next, shabu-shabu. 66 under RA 9165, which of the following unlawful act is bailable? Saan dito yung bailable? 1, possession of 100 grams of shabu. Dami niyan. 2, importation of 100 kilo of shabu. Madami, mas madami. 3, planting of marijuana in pots. 4, pushing 0.1 gram of shabu. Or 5, none of this. So, remember our discussion about bail, di ba? All persons except those punishable by reclusion perpetua when evidence of guilt is strong shall be bailable, di ba? Except ang exception doon, all persons dapat before conviction bailable po yung kaso nila and can avail bail. Anong exception? Kapag ang punishment ay reclusion perpetua when evidence of guilt is strong. Okay. Tingnan muna natin yung punishment. Ang punishment mo ng possession of 100 grams of shabu is sa Section 11 ng RA 9165, life imprisonment to death. Hindi lang reclusion perpetua, mas mabigat pa. Okay? Importation of 100 kilo of shabu, Section 4, life imprisonment to death. Planting of marijuana in pots, Section 16, yung cultivation ng marijuana, life imprisonment to death. Pushing 0.1 gram of shabu, Section 5, life imprisonment to death. So lahat po sila ay reclusion above, mas mataas pa kay reclusion perpetua yung parusa. And they are part of the, kumbaga, exception. No? Exception to the rule. Okay? So, tatandaan, hindi naman ibig sabihin, sinabi kong hindi available, hindi agad-agad available. Remember, meron tayong mga discretion po yan nung magbibigay ng bail. Kung evidence of guilt is strong ba, mga ganon. Okay? Pusher, yung pushing natin dyan, kasi basic yung possession, basta nasa possession mo, nasa custody mo, controlled mo, na within your control yung shabu, that's possession. Importation, yung pagpapasok. Planting, cultivation yan. Okay? Pushing, pushing is the selling, trading, administering, dispensing, delivering, or giving away to another yung ating mga pinagbabawal na drugs. So that's pusher. Pusher po yung tao mismo na gumagawa. Okay? So lahat po yan, non-bailable. Okay? Next, according to law ha, next, 67, which of the following is created by RA 9165 to implement its provision? Alin po yung implementing arm dito ng ating 9165? A, 1, Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. 2, Barangay Anti-Drug Abuse Council. Darak. Badak. 3, Dangerous Drugs Board. 4, Anti-Illegal Drug Special Operation Task Force. Or 5, Narcotics Command. NARCOM. So, 9165, syempre, may dalawa po kayo makikita dyan sa 9165. The implementing arm and the policy formulating body. So, yung implementing arm is the PDEA. The policy making body is the Dangerous Drugs Board. Okay? So Section 82 po ng RA 9165, the creation of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA. Ano sila? They shall serve as the implementing arm of the board. Ano yung board, ma'am? Yung Dangerous Drugs Board. So, and shall be responsible for the efficient and effective law enforcement of all the provisions on any dangerous drug and or controlled precursor and essential chemical. Partner sila ni DDB, Dangerous Drug Board, which is the highest policy making and strategy formulating body on drug prevention and control in the Philippines. Bale, si DDB yung mag-iisip anong gagawin, anong mga pulisiya, anong strategy yung gagamitin. Si PIDEA po yung gagawa ng mga sinabi ni DDB. They are the implementing arm. Sila po yung magpapatupad nung lahat ng naisip ni DDB at lahat ng nandito sa RA 9165. Pagpapatupad ng batas na to. Okay? Next, 68. Sexual harassment as defined under the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995 or RA 7877 can take place in any of the following places except. So titingnan natin no kung naintindihan nyo yung work, training, and education environment. So lahat yon kapag doon nangyari yung sexual advances, no? Mga sexual favor or sexual mga indecent proposals, no? Sexual harassment po siya. Tingnan natin. One, within the premises of the workplace or office. So, sa loob mismo ng workplace or office. Two, at work or education or training related social functions. So, may seminar, no? Doon nangyari. Three, at official conferences or symposia or training sessions. 4 at the house of the training officer, or 5 in the school or training institution. So, lahat, apat dyan, alam natin na nangyayari mismo yung education, yung training, or the work. Except sa isa, which is number 4, sa loob ng bahay ng training officer. So, it doesn't mean makakita kayo ng education, training, work dyan. Automatic yun na yung sagot, di ba? Katulad dito, makikita mo yung word the training officer, kaso sa bahay niya nangyari. So, hindi po siya pasok sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act natin. So, ayan po, no? Na-discuss ko na ito kanina. CRA 7877. Okay, next. 69, RA 7877 shall apply to the following except. So, tao naman tong tinatanong. Saan dito yung hindi mag-a-apply ang RA 7877? 1, government servants in the career and non-career service and in any level. 2, presidential appointees and elective officials. 3, personnel of state educational institutions. 4, officials and employees in government. Or 5, none of the above. So kung pansin nyo, lahat naman sila nagtatrabaho, lahat nasa educational institution, no? Lahat ay working. So they are all covered by RA 7877. No? So that's none of the above. Okay, next, number 70, last 11 questions. Under the Local Government Code of 1991, the RA 7160, who is the presiding officer of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan? Presiding officer. Okay. Number 1, President of the Association of Barangay Chairman. Panlalawigan ito ha. Okay. Number 2, most senior provincial board member. Number 3, provincial vice governor. Number 4, provincial administrator. Or number 5, provincial governor. So, ako ang palatandaan ko dito, it cannot be the provincial governor anymore. Marami na siyang representation, no? Marami na siyang kailangan gawin. So, pagdating sa sanggunian, it's the vice na ang gagawa. Ganon din naman sa munisipyo. Vice na rin yung magtatrabaho. Siya na rin yung magpe-preside. Exception dyan is sa barangay kasi wala namang vice barangay captain, 'di ba? So halos lahat guys, pagdating sa mga sanggunian, no, council kasi 'yan, no, yung mga gagawa na ng mga ordinances, mga resolutions, no, si vice yung gagalaw. Siya yung magpe-preside. Vice mayor, vice governor, and then hawak niya yung mga board members, sila yung magdi-discuss kung anong dapat gawin, anong ordinance yung ipapasa, mga ganon. Okay? So, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan is a legislative body. Like what I've said, yung sanggunian na yan, they are the ones na nagke-create ng mga ordinances, mga resolution, mga batas doon sa jurisdiction nila. Kaya nga, they are legislative body. They legislate, they create laws, they enact laws, no? They amend ordinances. So, ang composition, provincial governor as the presiding officer, and the regular sanggunian members, which are the board members. The president of the provincial chapter and the liga of the barangay, mga barangay, the president of Panlalawigang Federasyon ng mga sangguniang kabataan, mga ganun, no? Basta ang magpe-preside po, mga vice na po yan. Next, 71, last 10. Which of the following is not a ground for meritorious promotion? Number 1, deed of personal bravery and self-sacrifice above and beyond the call of duty. Number 2, an act that clearly distinguishes himself above his comrades in the performance of more than ordinary hazardous service. 3, an act of heroism exhibited in the face of an armed enemy and involving extraordinary risk of life. 4, an act exhibiting conspicuous courage and gallantry at the risk of his or her life. Or 5, outstanding accomplishment arising from the regular performance of duty. So, regular yun, no? So, hindi pwede yung regular. Kailangan above and beyond palagi. Kumbaga, ikaw lang yung nakagawa nun sa harap ng mga kalaban, lalo mga armado. Okay? So, for meritorious promotion, kumbaga special promotion. Any uniformed member of the PNP who has exhibited acts of conspicuous courage and gallantry at the risk of his or her life above and beyond the call of duty shall be promoted to the next higher rank. Okay? Next, 72. Which of the following cases is not punishable by summary dismissal? Sige. Yung i-dismiss ka na kaagad 1, when charge is serious and evidence of guilt is strong. 2, when the respondent is recidivist. 3, a WOL, absence without official leave for less than 30 days. 4, a WOL for continuous period of 30 days or more. And 5, when the respondent is guilty of a serious offense involving conduct unbecoming of a police officer. So, syempre, yung pinakamababa ang isasagot nyo kasi not punishable by summary dismissal. Syempre, nung number 1, charge is so serious, evidence of guilt is strong, automatic, pwede, hindi po yan kasama. Kasama po yan. Respondent is the recidivist, paulit-ulit na, no? Kasama po yan. Less than 30 days, so pwedeng 1 day. Hindi agad-agad pwede i-summary dismissal yan kasi less than 30 days eh. Pag sinabing less than 30 days, 1 to 29 days lang yung awol niya. Compare mo sa awol na 30 days or more, di ba? But meron din yan, verbatim din yan sa batas, no? Sa ating, I think this is RA 8551, no? Yung ABC at saka yung dulo. Yung dulo kasi, um, drop from the roll lang siya eh. Drop from the roll of the list ng mga officers. So, pwede kang magkaroon ng immediate removal or dismissal. Pwedeng si NAPOLCOM, si PNP chief or si PNP regional director po yung gumawa nito, ano? Tatandaan yan po yung tatlo na may summary dismissal powers. I am not sure saan ko nasalubong yung tanong na to. kung sino-sino yung mga taong may summary dismissal powers. So tatandaan na POLCOM, Chief PNP or the PNP Chief tsaka sa PNP Regional Director. So in cases na charge is serious and the evidence of guilt is strong, recidivism or has been repeatedly charged, and there's reasonable ground to believe na guilty siya doon sa mga charges na yon. Serious offense involving conduct and becoming of police officer, at saka yung absence without leave, official leave, for a continuous period of 30 days or more shall be dismissed immediately. So, di ba? Yan po yung mga may summary dismissal. 73. Which of the following eligibilities is no longer valid for promotional purposes in PNP? So, kahit hindi sa PNP yan, si civil service, sub-professional. First level lang kasi yan siya. Pang mga clerical or non-technical positions, madalas po yan, mga administrative aid. Okay, yung clerical lang, mga sulat-sulat lang. Okay, hindi siya for technical skills, katulad ng PNP, technical yan. Ba? So, kahit actually sa regular na mga work sa labas sa munisipyo, no, hindi masyado ang CS, civil service sub-professional. Sa civil service may dalawa yan. Civil service professional tsaka sub-prof. First level lang po si sub-prof. Second level na si professional. Yan na po yung mga ka-level ng NAPOLCOM, ng board exam, yan. So, sila po, no? So, eligibility type, valid po si NAPOLCOM Promex, RA 1080, 6506, CS Professional, hindi valid si Civil Service, Sub-Prof, kasi insufficient siya. Next, 74. Under the present policy, who among the following applicants is qualified for appointment to the rank of police inspector? Line officers ha, via lateral entry mode. So, hindi ibig sabihin nakakita ka ng lateral, magsasagot ka kaagad ng bar exam, doctor, priest. Kasi they are technical. Technical officers po yan sila. Hindi po sila line officers. Pag line officers, yung pagtatrabuhin mo sa patrol, investigation, and traffic. Wala namang pagtrapikin mo yung bar passer, lawyer, di ba? Yung doktor, di ba? So, check nyo palagi yung question. Number 1, civilian top-notch nursing board exam. Number 2, police chief master sergeant who is a licensed criminologist. Number 3, police staff sergeant who just passed the bar exam. Number 4, all of this. Or number 5, 1 and 2. So, ako pinakasaglagot ko dito is number 2 because line officers yung hinahanap. So, it doesn't mean nakakita ka ng lateral entry agad-agad yung mga 10 years na ng pinag-aralan. So, lateral entry is a provision of law that shows the appointment of police commissioned officers, yung mga official na, to fill up the vacancies for line and technical service. So, kailangan malaman nyo ano pagkakaiba ng line service at technical service. So, it covers lateral entry for graduates of PNP. Ngayon, pagdating sa lateral, meron po tayong lateral na for line officers na nandoon mismo na sa PNP for PNP Mobile Force at Special Action Force. So, kung sila po ay nasa PNP na mismo, nasa SAF sila or sa PNP, PMF, at sila ay registered criminologist, and they have already served dyan sa unit na yan for at least 5 years. Okay? Tapos, nakapasa sila sa exam. Okay? Or graduate sila ng, and graduate po sila ng SAF Commando course or the BISOC, not more than 30 years old at the time of appointment, must have 2 most recent physical fitness tests. Pwede po sila sa lateral entry. Line officers kapag nasa loob na. Ito naman, line service officers, other police functions. So, ganun din, registered criminologist with the rank of at least police staff sergeant, organic personnel ng police regional office kung saan po sila mag-a-apply, no, for the lateral entry. Tapos, graduatean nila yung kailangan ng mga schooling and courses. Okay? So, yan, pwede din po sila. Kung mapapansin nyo, hindi ko sinagot yung mga nurses, yung mga teacher, mga doctors, no? Kahit 10 years po yung pinag-aralan nila, kahit passer po sila ng bar, because they're not for line service, they are for technical service. Yan, highly technical po yan. So, doctor of medicine, member of the Philippine Bar, priest, imam, pastor, dentist, optometrist, nurse, engineer. Pasok din naman sa technical service ang officer, ang registered criminologist. Kaso yung mga line services talaga for lateral yan, RCRIM talaga. Okay? So, yan. So, ang sagot natin is number 2. Next, number 75. Which of the following is not a ground for the deletion of the name of the PNP personnel from the roster? Okay, saan dito yung hindi ground for deletion? Kasi there is deletion. Permanently remove yung pangalan mo from the list of PNP personnel. Okay, yung roster nga na sinasabi. Alin yung hindi? Number 1, terminated for a cause. 2, forced resignation. 3, 6 months suspension. 4, voluntary resignation. Or 5, death. So, kita nyo naman, no? Dito, may permanent siya at saka may temporary lang. Alin ang temporary dito? 6 months suspension. It doesn't mean temporary deletion na. I mean temporary lang yung pagkawala niya sa PNP. Pero nandyan pa rin siya. The rest, death lalo, alangan naman, no? So, deleted yung name mo sa roster, voluntary resignation, forced resignation, and terminated for cause. So, lahat po yan ay ground for deletion except the 6-month suspension. 76, the PNCO Performance Evaluation Rating or PNC PN Copper, okay, is conducted kailan nangyayari atong ating PNCO that's semi-annually. So, second quarter ending, not quarterly, semi-annual. Ibig sabihin, 6 months, 6 months. So, tatanggalin na natin yung quarter na yan kasi 3 months lang siya. Time there is promotional cycle, mali. 2 consecutive quarters, 6-month period. Although 6-month period, but it should be end of semestral period. Sinakalagay dito, the Police and Commissioned Officer Performance Evaluation Rating, also referred to as the broader performance governance system, ay nangyayari po semi-annually every 6 months. Ang first period is from January 1 to June 30. Ang second period is July 1 to December 31. So that's conducted every end of semestral period. June 30 and then December 31. So end neto, tsaka end neto. Okay? Next, 2027 Association of Southeast Asian Nations or the ASEAN Summit host country. Sino ang mag-host sa ASEAN Summit na ngayong 2027? Sa tatandaan, naka-alphabetical order po yan sila, nagro-rotate po sila alphabetically. Every year, no, yung kasunod na letter po yung mag-host. So by 2027, it will be the Singapore. So ito po yung pagkakasunod-sunod. 2025 Malaysia M, 2026 dapat Myanmar. Kaso po nagkaroon ng conflict, may giyera. So nag-step up si Philippines, sabi niya sige kami na po. 2027 Singapore, hanggang ngayon hindi pa po mag-host si Myanmar, no? 2028 Thailand, then 2029 Vietnam. So again, there will be alphabetical rotation. The host country, siya yung pinakapunong abala kung ano pong mangyayari sa summit. Okay? If matatanong kung sino-sino yung members ng ASEAN, so syempre yung Southeast Asian lang. Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand. Then mga dumagdag, Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Laos, no? Lao People's Democratic Republic, and then Myanmar, and then Cambodia. Okay, so by 2027, Singapore na after natin. 78, last 3. The Philippine Criminal Justice System or the PCJS pillar that is tasked to prevent and control crimes, enforce law, and effect the arrest of offenders. So very basic sa inyo kasi you're part of the law enforcement. No, that's law enforcement. So again, may 5 pillars tayo: law enforcement, prosecution, court, correction, and community. Law enforcement, the frontliner, the prime mover, the initiator. Taga-detect ng crime, taga-aresto, taga-imbestiga, taga-prepare ng evidence para malipat natin sa prosecution. Sa prosecution, they will evaluate all the evidences and check if we can formally charge the suspect sa court. Sila yung taga-screening kung talaga bang pwedeng dalhin sa court to. Through the determination of prima facie evidence with certainty of conviction. Then, kapag nakapasa kay prosecution, we will go to court. They will conduct arraignment and trial, and hopefully they will be able to decide whether to acquit or convict the suspect or the respondent. Pag na-convicted, correction pillar tayo for the rehabilitation and eventual reintegration to the community. Pag natapos niya yung service niya, naging successful, they will go back to the community. They will be reintegrated to become law-abiding and productive citizens of the Philippines. Diba? Yan yung 5 pillars natin. Okay, next, 79. Which of the following is not guaranteed under the Constitution? So, meron bang right to property sa ating Constitution? Yes. That's Section 2. The right, actually 1 and 2 eh. 1 to 9. 1 to 9. Right to property, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Diba? May right to property tayo doon. Tapos, yung sa illegal search and seizure. Tapos, sa Section 9 natin, yung sa ating no personal, private property shall be taken for public use without just compensation. Right to organize, 'di ba? Sinabi ko kahapon, you can create your own association, your own union, basta hindi siya contrary to law. Ang purpose ng organization, association, or union nyo is not contrary to law. So, right to organize. Meron din yan sa Constitution, Bill of Rights. Right to information, syempre, meron din yan. 'Di ba? Yung sinabi nating information of matters of public concern. Nandyan din yan sa Bill of Rights. Right to freedom of speech, of course. I think that's Section 4. Meron tayong freedom of speech. Ang wala po tayo is right to claim ownership over any government property. Tama ako. Okay? So, although wala siya sa konstitusyon, pero meron tayong tinatawag na, hindi siya, ang kabaliktaran siya. Regalian Doctrine, sinasabi ng Regalian Doctrine, lahat ng mga kalupaan dito sa Pilipinas ay pagpagmay-ari ng Pilipinas. So, wala tayong right to claim ownership over any government property. Okay? So, wala po tayong ganong right. It's not guaranteed by the Constitution. And last number, congratulations. In what manner may the chairman of the COMELEC be removed from office? Chairman of the COMELEC. Okay, remember impeachment na diniscuss ko kahapon. Sino-sino yung pwedeng ma-impeach? President, Vice President, members of the Supreme Court, members of the Constitutional Commission, which is kasali sa Constitutional Commission si COMELEC. Diba? And then Ombudsman. So, okay na yung 4. Sa members of the Constitutional Commission, meron tayong 3 constitutions dyan, or commissions dyan. Civil Service, COA, and COMELEC. So, kasama po sa pwedeng ma-impeach yung COMELEC chairman kasi kasama po siya sa members of the Constitutional Commission. So, this time, ang sagot natin is impeachment. Okay? Again, huwag kakalimutan yung mga taong pwedeng ma-impeach. Okay? At paano po na-impeach yung mga tao. Okay? So, didiscuss ko lang si recall. Recall is the power of the people to remove a local elective official. Pag may gusto kang tanggalin sa posisyon, pag yung 5 yun, kanina na na-discuss ko, President, Vice President, members of the Supreme Court, yung 15, members of the Constitutional Commission, yung 13, or Ombudsman, impeachment yung papagawa. Pero pag mga mayor, vice mayor, councilors, governors, mga local elective officials, from governor down to councilor sa mga munisipyo, recall po ang tawag doon. If you want to remove local elective official. Okay, People's Initiative. Nasa pangalan na mismo, pag sinabing People's Initiative, kagustuhan ng mga tao, expression ng mga tao, tayo mga electorates, mga may karapatang bumoto, na mag-propose ng amendment sa ating konstitusyon. Gusto mo lang baguhin yung 1987 Constitution kasi sobrang luma na. We can do that on our own initiative. People's Initiative po yon. Sobrang dami mong kailangan gawin kaso kasi nga, di ba, rigid po yung ating constitution. Next, referendum. Referendum, pareho po sila halos ni plebiscite. Si plebiscite kaso, okay, nag-initiative tayo na gusto nating baguhin si konstitusyon. Kailangan, after pag nakapagpapirma ka na yan sa mga tao na magkakaroon ng initiative, or meron ka ng initiative na pagawa ka na ng People's Initiative, you need to conduct plebiscite. Ayan po yung magbubotohan na po yung tao sa buong Pilipinas, whether or not they will agree to that amendment na ino-offer nyo or pinopropose nyo sa initiative or not. Whether or not na nga. This is the time the people will approve or reject the People's Initiative, yung mga amendments na gusto nyong gawin sa konstitusyon. So, plebiscite is approval or rejection of the constitutional amendments. Si referendum, ganun din. Power of the electorate to approve or reject, kaso legislation lang siya, batas lang yung babaguhin. Si plebiscite, constitution talaga. Okay? Both of them will start with people's initiative. People's initiative, kung batas lang yan, magre-referendum after. People's initiative, kapag konstitusyon yung babaguhin, magpe-plebiscite after. Kailangan ma-ratify yung bagong konstitusyon kung gusto nyo talagang baguhin yung konstitusyon. May ratification pa. Okay? Next, sa impeachment tayo. O, pasadahan ko lang before tayo mag-end. So, Vice President, President, members of the Supreme Court, ito po yon. Dito pumasok si COMELEC, Constitutional Commissions, and then si Ombudsman. Kasi ito yung mga crimes na pwedeng ginawa nila for them to be subjected to an impeachment case. Remember, the people who has exclusive power to initiate impeachment is House of Representatives. The Senate naman has the sole power to try and decide all cases of impeachment. Okay, so I will not discuss the rest na, basta yun lang naman yung importante. Again, dito sa House of Representatives,